Feral queens don't carry a lot of those traits. Really go to town with swarms. They are the biggest risk, I would say, for most beekeepers. Mid-huge honey flow, it is the perfect time to do a Demaree split and just managing it within your apiary. Like, you're bringing disease risk in from elsewhere. Do swarms carry disease? Yes, they definitely do. An EFB vector, 100% European Foulbrood. If you do it with the angry queen, then all of that brood is going to emerge and it's just going to be angry bees. I think I've convinced myself that you should replace the queen as soon as possible. This is where people build the kind of 7, 8, 9 super beehives. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 79 of Let's Talk Bees. Jean says, Lawrence, a honey-bound hive, should I split it or just take their honey and put more supers on? That's a really nice fix. A lot of people who treat their brood boxes with like Apivar or any chemicals are not going to be able to do that. But if you're organic or treatment-free, then you can just essentially go into the brood box and take the honey out. Now, some people don't like to extract honey out of old brood frames. There's nothing really wrong with it, like the bees will eat it. The only risk, as far as I see, is chemical risk, is the beekeeper risk. So if you're confident with it, you can take that out. The other way of doing it is just to take it out, freeze it. A lot of people do that. Take out the frames, put them in the freezer, freeze up really well frames, and then replace it with foundation, which removes the honey-bound status, and then put more supers on at the same time. Definitely do that. Jean says, Lawrence, what do you think about feral queens? I've not got anything wrong with feral queens. In fact, I wish I could go and collect a swarm like I did the other day from someone's garden 2 doors down, and for them to be really, really nice and friendly and just get on with me. And then I get them in a box and they produce a decent amount of bees and a decent amount of honey, and then they're treatable and disease-free and everything's good. Like, if feral bees were like that, it would be much, much easier for everyone. The sad truth is, I think, for a lot of people, is that feral bees are not quite like that, and feral queens don't carry a lot of those traits. And like, I've been out and captured in this swarm in the neighbour's garden. They were really angry and they battered me, and I got them into a box and I've gone up there to check on them, and I'm underwhelmed. And it's just a bit like, okay, it's like 3 frames of bees here and they're not really doing a huge amount and they're quite angry and they're hurting me. So no, I've had a lot of a bad experience with feral bees and feral queens, and I'm not a fan, hence why I've gone down the route that I've gone down. There's nothing wrong with them though. Like I say, if you're in an area where the feral queens are really good and they're the colour that you want and they're the temperament that you want and they're not showing any signs of chalk brood or sac brood or any of the brood disorders, and you're keeping them healthy and they're not swarming so early, like before they've hit the brood box, and putting a bit of honey in there, like if they're giving something back to the beekeeper as well, then fine. But survivor bees that are just kind of there for the bees, if that's the case, then great, but you don't need the beekeeper involved. Just, we'll set that aside to the survivor bees and leave them to sort themselves out. And then I think there needs to be a happy medium in the middle. How long would you keep a swarm queen for? That's a great little tag on to what I was just saying there. So I would keep a swarm queen. I'd always keep a swarm queen and have a look, see what's there. Unless you know they are vicious or there's virgins in there and it's a runty little queen. If you come across like a queen that's marked, if you capture a swarm and it's marked, I'd always be looking to see like what we've got here. For anyone going and collecting swarms, it's a good piece of advice for you. You need to isolate swarms. You need to quarantine swarms. Swarms carry huge amounts of risk. So if you're going out and just collecting a swarm from wherever, putting it in a box and then bringing it back to your apiary and just managing it within your apiary, like you're bringing disease risk in from elsewhere. And do swarms carry disease? Yes, they definitely do. Like, they are an EFB vector, 100% European Foulbrood. So you need to be putting them only on frames and foundation. That's all you should be putting them on. Don't put them on any drawn comb, because it can transfer disease over. Everything should be clean, everything should be sterile, or everything should be new. Most importantly though, the advice that I would give if you're going out and catching swarms is, do not feed them if you can get away with it. And definitely do not feed them for the first 3 days. That is the big one that I see a lot of people getting wrong, and it's advice that you wouldn't know unless someone told you it. But if you go out and collect that swarm, let's say they have EFB, let's say the colony that swarmed had EFB, and now you've got this swarm that's got EFB in the stomach of the honeybee. If you take that swarm, put it on foundation or put it on drawn comb and start feeding it, what the bees do is they start to regurgitate a lot of that honey and store it and then put it into the combs, which is bad, and it keeps the disease there, keeps the kind of bacteria that's in EFB there, and then that colony will just have EFB. However, if you do not feed them, they have to use that energy store that they've got in there to draw out the foundation. So if there's no drawn comb and you have foundation, they have to use that, and it purges their stomach. They've done tests on this and shows that as long as you starve them for at least 3 days and they use their honey stomach to draw out the wax, it does purge them, and the chance of transmission is much, much lower, effectively reduced. So it's good advice. Don't feed your swarms if you can get away with it. Definitely don't feed them for the first 3 days. Definitely keep them in a quarantine zone somewhere else, a completely different apiary if you can get away with it. Wash your hands before you go in, sterilize them, washing soda. But then most importantly, I would say 2 rounds of brood as an absolute minimum. Do a full disease inspection, shake all of the bees off. Make sure you are content that the larvae look good. There's no EFB, there's no kind of twisting, there's no desegmentation, there's no scales forming. Really go to town with swarms. They are the biggest risk, I would say, for most beekeepers. So don't just go out naively collecting them and thinking that they're going to be nice and healthy. Do all of your checks. Paul says, I have a last minute bargain price queen bought from Black Mountain Honey yesterday and she comes today. Can I make a split today and place her in it? So ideally, no, you would have planned it in advance, Paul, but realistically, yes, you can. So just do everything exactly the same. Go ahead, make your split, leave it for about an hour, take the queen, place the queen in, and then the whole process is exactly the same from there on in. Wait 8 days, take down all the emergency cells, shake the bees off, take them down, get your queen, pop the tabs, put her back in, and then depending on when you want to have a 24-hour gap in there, you can choose. But if you're lazy like me, you're probably just going to go back in on the same day you take down those emergency cells, pop the tab, leave it for 7 days and all should be good. Julia, she says, good morning, Lawrence. I have an aggressive colony. Blue Queen performed a Demaree yesterday, but I would like to replace her before next season. When is best to replace her with a mated queen? What do you want? Do you want to get the absolute most out of the queen, or do you want to limit the aggression? Because I think probably for you, it's going to be the latter. Limiting the aggression is going to be much easier to achieve just by replacing the queen earlier. So instead of getting the maximum out of the last queen and getting her to lay up all of that brood and then killing her and saying thanks for the brood, it sounds horrific though. Saying it like this, you get the idea. But if you do it with the angry queen, then all of that brood is going to emerge and it's just going to be angry bees. Whereas if you replace the queen before, all of that brood is going to emerge and it's going to be nice calm bees. So I think I've convinced myself that you should replace the queen as soon as possible. And I think that's generally the advice when it comes to angry colonies. Do it as soon as possible, because if you're going to have any open matings in your apiary as well, you're letting the drones out, you're letting the drones fly, limits the drones, but doing it earlier on just makes it much easier to find the queen as well. So I hope you can find her. Dave and Ella say, good morning, Lawrence. Hope the family is well. No questions this week as I've been watching more 14-Day Beekeeper. Looking forward to getting one of your queens next week. I'm going to try my very best to share my screen here. Give it a go. I think that is working. So I want to show you round kind of HiveQ, 14-Day Beekeeper, and just give you a flavour because I've not advertised it. The IT guys have said, look, you can't advertise it because we're in this weird weekend status zone. But like, we're launching on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday next week. It's going to be one of those days. And it's live. So we've got 50 testers in there at the moment. They're going around, they're doing everything they want to do. And it's quite fun. I really like it in there. And we've tested it and it works and it's fine. So everybody else over the next week, literally within the next 7 days, is going to get an invite into Circle. And then I'll just show you around. So this is like the HiveQ discussion group. Picture of me there, and then got a cheat section. A few little bits. This is where you can just have your chats and stuff. You will see I've done some emails at the moment, or carousels, or offering up free PDF guides. Instead of for all members having to put their email address in again to get it, I'm just putting them in here. So anyone who signs up gets all access to this. You've got access to the Hive Shield entrance, making yourself a wasp guard for £1. Pretty cool. So there we go. I thought I'd just quickly do that because a lot of people have been asking, like, when are we moving over? When's it going live? And it's all happening at such a ridiculously fast pace because somebody else is doing it, which is great. Steve says, morning, Lawrence. Feel a bit like a kid on Christmas morning. Black Mountain Honey Queen arriving today. Like, rest assured, I say to people, you've not got to worry about the queen not being okay. Most of the time, really high percentage hit rate on getting the queens to you, like in really good condition. And if there are any issues, we fix them. So you're not got to worry about that. And also, I've had a few people message and say, are you going to send queens out next week? Because it's like mega heat wave. And I said, oh no, so it's a really good point. And like, if it was nukes, there's no way that we would be sending nukes out next week. It's probably 10 degrees C too much for nuke sending, but for queen sending, like, these queens come from Malta. They're used to kind of 34, 35 degrees, and they are packaged up perfectly to cope with that environment. And then most importantly, like, you think of the temperature in the beehive, 36, 37 degrees, can maybe go a little bit warmer than that on the hottest days as well. So it's not an issue. So the queens will be going out fine, but yes, I get excited for people getting excited about their queens as well. So I hope it all goes well. Julius Hicks says, hey everyone, I made my very first honey cell today. That's a really good moment as well. I remember getting it in the jar and then like giving it to someone or selling it to someone. And then the next bit, which I know is going to come, is they'll ring you up and say, that was the best ever honey I've ever tasted ever. Can I have some more? And then, yeah, you got your first customer there. But that's brilliant news. That's made me happy as well. And Aaron says, I was chatting on here about one of my hives having Nosema. I did a Bailey comb exchange. It sorted itself out. I requeened it with one of your queens, maybe stress, not Nosema. I checked with a Nosema to say, like, is it Nosema? Have you tested it? Have you looked at it under the microscope and had it confirmed that it is Nosema? That is the only way to confirm it. If it's dysentery, so if you're just seeing like the bees relieving themselves and poo and dysentery and stuff like that outside the front, and then it's gone away, probably not Nosema, probably was just dysentery. So it could be a result of just eating something. So dysentery is just like dodgy tummy. They've gone out, they've eaten something, and it's like, oh no. You come back the next day and you're like, I don't feel that great. Dysentery is not normal, but dysentery generally has a root cause. You can say, oh, maybe we fed them some syrup that was a little bit fermented, or maybe the weather's been quite poor, so they've not been able to get out as far. So if it's cold and they're clustered in, and they're like, come on, we need some good weather, I need to go, and then just the good weather doesn't come, so they have to relieve themselves. That's not Nosema. That's just dysentery and bad conditions and stuff like that. So good weather, clearing up any sort of dysentery like that, almost certainly going to be they were not able to fly, and that's what you're seeing there. Simon says, regarding prepping a colony for the heather, is new drawn comb the answer to having 8+ frames of brood? I have X frames of pollen and stores. A lot of people make up kind of like fake colonies for the heather. They'll have like an apiary of 20 colonies, and they'll say, right, I'm taking 10 to the heather, and they'll build them up from scratch. They're always making sure they've got like the right amount of brood in there, but making sure that you've got young queens. Young queens make a massive, massive difference on the heather. Go and make up colonies of bees from your apiary, nice and strong, and I would suggest nice young queens in there as well. Morton Larson says, can we Demaree split a huge honey flow? So mid-huge honey flow. It is the perfect time to do a Demaree split, mid-huge honey flow. It really is. It's just made for it this weekend. If you're going out and you've got colonies, the brood box is full, and you've got 2, 3, 4 supers, loads of bees in there, and you're thinking, if I can just keep all of these bees in this beehive here, I'm going to end up with so much honey. Normally you come back next week and they've swarmed, and if you do the Demaree, you've got 3 weeks of it, and if you get the weather, you get the nectar tsunami, you've got the maximum peak amount of bees, you're timing it with the longest day of the year, now is the time to go out and do the Demaree split. It really is. This is the weekend to do it, I would say, if you've not done it already. If you've already done it and you've got 2 brood boxes on already, I would not recommend doing it again. Don't confuse things. Don't add a 3rd brood box in unless you've converted that top brood box to a super, and then you're essentially back on single brood anyway. But yeah, go ahead, do it. It's a brilliant weekend to do it. And this is where you build the kind of 7, 8, 9 super beehives. Because if you can get them into the configuration now, your 3 weeks takes you through, like we're on the solstice. It's basically the solstice tomorrow. Your 3 weeks takes you through to 3 weeks past the solstice. So we're in peak swarming season. Do it now. Peak swarming season becomes like easy season, and then you go back into a much easier place in 3 weeks' time. So yes, short answer, yes.